Salutations all. So we finally hit that time of the year where the weather is starting to cool down to the point that you can actually put on your Ugg boots. I know some of you do it anyway. For all my West Sidians, 65 degrees is not winter weather. You're still rocking shorts. Stop crying about it. All right. So, when it gets to this time of that year, when it starts to really, really get nice and chill you to your bones, a lot of us want to snuggle up with somebody, get a nice movie on. You want something that you can put the two hands on and feel the warmth going down your throat. So, to satisfy that need, we're going to make chicken noodle soup. Let's go. Okay, so let's look at our ingredient listing for today. Obviously, chicken. All right, got about 2.5 pounds of diced up chicken here. Just straight up white meat. I've got 2 cups of diced onion, 2 cups of diced celery as well, and then we've got 2 cups of diced carrot. So if you remember, that's our mirepoix. That's the base to the majority of things that you eat when it comes to soup. Any standard soup typically starts with a mirepoix. All right, we've also got a 1/2 cup of fresh chopped parsley. All right, and then we've got some fresh herbs as well. I like to use fresh thyme, fresh sage. I got some rosemary from the plant out front. All right, and what I do with that is I make a little bundle of herbs there. If you don't have twine or something, use the bread tie. It's just to help you keep it all together, so you're not having to chase it later on to pull it out of the soup. So that's my rosemary, that's my thyme, that's my sage, and my bay leaf there, all bundled up and ready to go into that soup. All right. Today we're going to use just a standard little pasta. This is a rotini. It's the tricolored one, but don't be fooled. The colors are just for entertainment. They're not actually healthier than normal pasta. I know a lot of people feel like that's a vegetable serving. If you eat a bowl of Fruit Loops, that's not fruit for the day, right? So we've got 1 tablespoon of salt, and I've got 1 good teaspoon of black pepper here, and I've got a little bit of paprika. All right. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to brown off this chicken. I've got the pasta already cooked off and cooled. I always keep my pasta separated. That way you can add it as you like, and it's easier to freeze that soup and reuse it later if you don't have the pasta in it. So first thing we're going to do is brown off that chicken. Okay, so we've got our pot nice and hot. And like I said, the first thing we're going to do is brown off or sear off this chicken. Even though it's going to go into a soup, the meat can actually dry out if not properly taken care of. So one of the things to help it maintain its succulent juices is we're going to sear this stuff off. So we're going to go in with a little bit of olive oil here, just a hair, and right in with our chicken. All we're trying to do is give it a little bit of color. We're not going to cook it all the way through. We're just going to peel that outside, give it a little bit of color. Whilst that's in there, I'm going to go in with a tablespoon of garlic. And a spritzing of this smoked paprika. Get a little more on that, and then we're going to pull that out and go in with our veggies. And we'll be doing a few more of these videos as well, a few more soups. Going to do some classics like this one here, and we're going to do some little out there on the end ones for those that are feeling a little more adventurous. Alright, so we're going to pull this chicken out, set it aside. Okay. Now we're going to go right in there with our veggies. We're going to add a little more oil to that, just a touch. I always start off with my onion. I like to, now we're not going to caramelize it like we normally would. We're going to sweat these. We don't want them to get too much color. It's going to change the flavor of the soup. So we'll start moving these bad boys around a bit. And you just want to cook them to the point where they begin to become translucent. Should not take too long. Now remember, when we cook, we're building flavors. You know, think Legos, think Tetris. You're literally building something from the base up. You know, you start with that foundation. This is our foundation. Now, as we know, everything does not cook at the same speed. Sometimes you want something to cook a little longer. For some dishes, you know, maybe would want to caramelize those onions just to change that flavor profile and really enhance what it is that you're making. It makes a huge difference when you don't just throw everything into the pot at one time. Alright. Now we're going to go in with the celery. I always go with the carrots last just because we're not really trying to put a lot of color on those. And that's going to cook through as we simmer the broth. Once we get the broth in, those will cook through just fine. This is one of those dishes that once we add our liquid, we don't want it to boil. We want it to simmer. You want it to have just a light roll of bubbles. You'll see them mostly around the edge of the pot, and maybe a soft roll of the liquid, but you do not want a rolling boil for something like this. You want it to go slow. You really want those flavors to have time to do what they do. Give that about another 60 seconds. Then we're going to go on with the carrots. And then also think too, with a soup like this, you know, if you want to change the consistency, maybe you want it a little heartier, a little better mouthfeel. Remember, you can always go in with a slurry, which is cornstarch and water, or you can go the chicken and dumplings route if you really want to make it thick and hearty, and go with a roux. For all my gluten-free friends out there, as you know, they do make the gluten-free pasta, so it is nothing to turn this into a gluten-free meal for you. Alright, now we're going to go in with our carrots. We're not going to worry too much, like I said, about cooking the carrots at this stage because they're going to get cooked through with our broth added. So we're going to mix all that in. We're going to go right back in with our chicken. And this is when I add my cute little herb bundle. Get us out of the pot there. So there's our herbs. Our herb bundle goes in. And the string normally, like, you know, on a normal pot, it has normal handles. And so we tie it on there so we don't actually lose it in there. And we'll be able to get it out. So we're going to go in with our broth. This is chicken stock, roasted chicken stock. This is 10 cups of stock. Easy peasy. Alright, now we're going to let this heat through. We're going to give it about 15 minutes, maybe 20 at the most. Then we're going to come through and taste that. Remember, you can always add, but you can't take away, right? So we're going to add this teaspoon of pepper now. And this tablespoon of salt. All right, we're going to set a timer for 15 minutes. And we're going to go watch some Jingle Jangle. Be right back. All right, y'all. We let it go for about 15 minutes now. Gave it a nice little taste test. Not bad at all, in my opinion. All right. So this is what I meant by a simmer. Like you don't even see really bubbles going there. It's a nice steam, right? It's kind of steeping, almost if you would do a tea. You don't want to boil it. You don't want it to be rough. You want it to take its time and really let those flavors build in. Chicken's holding up nicely. We check our carrots, as that was our nice. There we go, nice and tender. So now, to finish this off, we're going to go on with that. All right. So we clearly had some technical difficulties there, and for that I apologize. So we went in and we added the half cup of the fresh parsley. Now we're going to plate this up. All right. So it's obviously pretty hot. Give that a little blow off there and tell me what you think.
Yeah.
Careful, Ben. All right, everybody. That's the end of this adventure. Had a mishap, but we'll recover. We'll be back. Let me know how yours turns